139. Are you absolutely sick and tired of being introduced this way? No. Oh, good. Okay. Well, Jennifer Beals is in the studio. Tim Boyd is too, but you don't know him, and you really don't care either. So, Tim, nice to meet you. How are you, sir? Tim is here, the president of the Theosophical Society, and Jennifer Beals, who, are you in the Theosophical Society also, is in our studio?
Not, but I look forward to visiting it.
Welcome back to Chicago. This is your hometown, right?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
You went to high school here?
I did.
You went to Yale, though, correct?
Yes.
I think a lot of people know that because when they find an actress who's really, really smart, they go, wow, she went to Yale.
I just tested well.
Is that what it is? And so then you go to Yale, and then what? Then just real quick, get me to where you are today. Tell me about your career.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I think for me, one of the most important things was discovering the beauty of independent filmmaking, which also led me to doing foreign films, particularly in Italy and France. And gosh, I just kept working.
Where did Flashdance appear in the chronology of your film career?
Flashdance was the second film that I had done.
How old were you
The
at
first
that
was
time?
My Bodyguard, where we filmed at Lakeview High School.
Huh.
And so let's see, My Bodyguard, I was probably 14. Flashdance was probably 18, I'm going to say.
Wow.
And here we are a few decades later.
I know, as soon as I asked that, I thought, John, what an inappropriate question.
No, that's okay.
Tim, how old are you? Do you mind telling us?
No, I'm too smart.
I'm 47. I'm 47. I will be 48 in December.
Well, congratulations, because doesn't People Magazine have you on their top 50 most beautiful people list again this year?
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
You were there in 2004, I think it was.
It's usually when I'm really well employed.
Oh, is that what it is, when you're more visible and everything else?
I don't know. I'm just grateful that somebody realizes that I'm still working. And
on Chicago Code, which it's funny because in Chicago we're really watching the show and following it for all of the little insides and outsides about the city. You know, one guy's a White Sox fan, somebody else is a Cubs fan. The references to the city council and the cops and things like that. I mean,
Right.
Chicago is kind of keeping score on the show.
yeah, it's very, very interesting. I think it's very engaging, and I think for me, one of the most engaging aspects of the show is how this woman is taking on corruption at all levels. She's taking it on within her own police force and the halls of power.
Well, your character is the chief of police.
Yes, I'm the superintendent.
A superintendent.
Yes, I'm the superintendent of the
Good
Chicago
looking, a hot superintendent too. Talk to me about the credibility of a superintendent looking as good as you do in a police uniform.
Well, let's talk about the credibility of a detective looking as fine as Jason Clarke does.
What does that mean?
He's cute.
Oh, your colleague.
Yes,
yeah, I think I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about.
Yes, you do. Secretly, you do.
I've seen. You don't look anything like Jody Weiss. I don't know who the next police superintendent is going to be, but they don't look like you. And it's funny sometimes to see actresses as attractive as you in roles that I guess a beautiful woman could be the police
superintendent. It reminds me of the
superintendent.
story of Durga. I don't know if you're familiar with that story, but she was a really lovely goddess, and the king of the demons came and said he wanted to marry her, and she said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but I've promised that I would only marry someone who is as strong as I am." So he sent all these armies to try to defeat her, and she defeated one after the other, and she progressively manifested other aspects of herself to defeat these various armies, and including a manifestation which was Kali, who was blue and has a demon, a skull mala, and drinks blood and all kinds of really delightful things. And finally the king of the demons comes to her and says, "Well, what about a battle one-on-one? You can't possibly defeat me one-on-one." And she says, "You fool, all of these other manifestations are me." And she pulls them all back into her very lovely body and beheads him. There you go.
So the moral of the story is...
Do not judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
So you're, besides promoting the TV show, principally you're actually in Chicago to promote the appearance of the Dalai Lama of Tibet,
Yes.
who's returning to Chicago. He was here in '07. He's coming here in mid-July. He's got 2 public appearances, one at the
Right.
Pavilion and one at the Harris Theater, and I'll tell you how you can get tickets to that if you want in just a minute. But what's your connection to the Dalai Lama?
Well, I first heard him speak several years ago in Los Angeles and was really taken with his presence and with his ideas, and specifically how he was able to speak to such complex ideas using such really truly simple language, and also had a terrific sense of humor. And his message of compassion was very strong, and in speaking to the crowd, he really I felt like he was speaking to me, and I think everybody there felt like you were having sort of a one-on-one conversation with him.
What's the Dalai Lama's message?
I think it's really one of compassion, and I think when he comes to Chicago, he will be expounding on the ideas that he has in his new book, which is called Toward a True Kinship of Faiths. And, right now we are in a very important time where it's clear that we live in a multiplicity, that it's clear that we live in a pluralistic society. And, certainly the internet has made it clear that the actions of one group of people on one side of the globe can instantaneously affect the actions of another group of people on the other side of the globe. So in this time when we are all so interconnected, the idea of practicing tolerance and non-discrimination doesn't mean that you weaken yourself or that you weaken your society. On the contrary, I think it means that you're able to strengthen yourself in the society.
It's kind of the conundrum the president finds himself in, He was the president who said, my international doctrine is going to be that I'm going to talk to these people. I'm not just going to shut the door. Some people think that shows a sign of strength. Other people thinks it makes him and us look weak.
Yeah, and I think it's a good dialogue to keep having, to keep talking about how does that work? How do we make that work? How do we make that work in practical terms? But I think the place in which most faiths that I know of and most non-faith-based belief systems converge is on compassion. And how do we practice that, especially at this time in history?
So I asked you at the start of the interview, Jennifer Beals in our studio. Tim Boyd is too. He's the president of the Theosophical Society. They are here promoting the Dalai Lama's return visit to Chicago July 17th and 18th. He has 2 public events, and if you want to find out more or get tickets, go to DalaiLamaChicago.com. And I said, are you getting sick and tired of hearing people play that theme when you walk into a studio? And you said, no, not at all, right?
Right. Because it usually happens just when I walk into a TV studio. People talk about Flashdance more. The journalists talk about Flashdance more than people that I meet on the street.
It says something about journalists, maybe. But, did you know that show had the legs that it did, that it would resonate so long with people? That's kind of a, I don't know if cult's the right word, classic, because it was a popular hit too, but people still have a place in their heads or hearts for that movie.
I think it's because it's the story about someone who follows their dream and who's really willing to be disciplined in following that dream.
Yeah. What was the movie about? Refresh my memory. Flashdance.
Oh, gosh, you probably know better than I do.
I think she was a welder or something like that.
Dancer.
She was a really hot welder who wanted to be a dancer. Here I was teasing you about the credibility of a superintendent of police in Chicago who looks like you, but really a welder? Does anybody go, yeah, you know what, this is ridiculous. We can't do this. No, don't worry about that.
No, I don't worry about that.
Well, because it's like you said a minute ago. I guess you look like you look. You are who you are, so you'll play the role that comes your way.
Right, and that's not how I experience myself.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't experience myself as being hot or something like that. I'm happy to be able to get up in the morning.
The Dalai Lama's appearance in Chicago is going to be in July. You said you saw him in Los Angeles,
yes,
right?
Yes, I did, and Vancouver as well.
So was it a transformative experience? Did you feel like you were with His Holiness and that somehow your view or vision on life was different as a result?
I was made very aware of how one person can shift the energy in the room.
Really? What does that mean?
he can affect the thoughts and the feelings of other people by virtue of the way he communicates.
And what is that? Because of the way he speaks, or because of what he's saying?
Yes, because of the way he speaks and of what he's saying and who he is. I mean, I think he practices what he teaches very deeply in a very profound way.
How does that work, Tim? I mean, why does the Dalai Lama have that effect on people?
Well, I think probably all of us know people in our own lives who have similar sort of effect. I think, I forget whether it was Emerson or Thoreau, they said, who you are speaks so loudly that I can't hear a word you're saying. All of us carry something with us. And when you get the opportunity to actually speak it out, it seems as if it can register with people. He does that perhaps in a way that's more profound than most, because I think the issues he talks about are more profound than we generally allow ourselves to speak.
You know, I've never heard him speak. I know about whom we're speaking, but it would just seem to me like, here's my stereotype of a presentation by him. It would be soft-spoken. It would be self-deprecating. It would be modest that way. Not Tim Robbins, you know, not walking the stage and cracking jokes with an opening line. Right? What's a presentation by him like?
Well, he does have a very lovely sense of humor.
Yeah.
And in my memory, he is soft-spoken, he is self-deprecating, and he is very, very knowledgeable and very wise, and that comes across in and amidst everything else.
One more time, the Dalai Lama of Tibet returns to Chicago July 17th and 18th, and you can buy tickets. They actually go on sale tomorrow at DalaiLamaChicago.com. One last thing about your TV show, Chicago Code. People are calling. They're going, well, is it coming back? Is it coming back? What do you know about the return of your series?
I don't know. I swear people know more than I do. I don't even know what our numbers are. I just know that I had a fantastic experience. I love the character. I hope I get to play her at least for one more season.
Are you in Chicago very often for the show? I mean, we obviously see the exteriors, but you probably are filming most of it in...
No, we film every second of the show in Chicago.
Really?
Yes.
I figured that we were just being tricked. You're actually here
every second
doing
of
the
show.
scenes. Wow.
Yes.
So then how often are you in the city? For how many weeks at a time?
Well, when we shoot here, I'm here all the time.
Right, but you've already shot this season, or
yes,
is it already
I go back
done?
and forth.
Yeah.
I go back
so
and
then
forth.
the next time you come back, you'll give us a call and we can talk more. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It would be my pleasure.
Tim, I'd love to see you too, but her more. I guess you understand that as well,
I
correct?
agree with you 100%.
We're a package deal, though. I don't know how you feel about that.
I think I can handle
We're
it.
taking it on the road.
It's nice to see you both. And again, DalaiLamaChicago.com is the place to go if you want to see His Holiness when he comes to Chicago July 17th. Tickets go on sale tomorrow. Nice to see you both. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you so much.